A man can succeed at anything if he has two things. Number one, a firm handshake, and number two, a confident smile. First of all, we have to understand what confidence is, okay? Confidence is the self-assurance you have that your knowledge, your abilities are enough to solve whatever task is at hand. Why is confidence important? This is something that people don't ever seem to focus on, but of course is the key issue of why you would want to have confidence. It's very simple. You see, human beings are social animals. We are animals. Never forget that. The vibe that we're projecting is the first thing that people receive and internalize when they meet us. It's only later that they start paying attention to the words that we are saying. Recently on YouTube, on the internet, I've been watching this James Damore, the guy who wrote the Google Manifesto. He's been on a bunch of different channels, Molyneux and a few others. The vibe he is projecting completely lacks in confidence. Even though the words that he is saying are completely accurate, he knows what he's talking about, but his tentative delivery of his words make it seem as if he is lacking in confidence, as if he's unsure. And so you listen to him and you get a little impatient. See, there's a negative reaction to somebody who lacks in confidence in that baseline vibe I'm talking about, okay? So if the vibe is confident, people are going to react to you one way, positively. Because why do people like confident men? Well, because other people feel that a confident man knows what he is doing, and so they can feel relaxed. As social animals, we tend to fall towards hierarchies, and we feel comfortable in a hierarchy, and most people feel very comfortable following a stronger personality because it relieves them of the duty to choose. And the other kind of confidence is the confidence that you have in carrying out a particular task. Suppose you decide to become a mountaineer. How do you start? Well, you climb the little hill in your neighborhood, right? You climb that little hill and you get to the top of that little hill and you take a selfie, right? And then next week you go upstate and there's this mountain, not very big, and you climb that mountain. You don't need technical gear or anything. You just need good mountain shoes, and you get to the top and you feel more satisfaction. So then you take it up a notch and you try to climb harder mountains and higher mountains and make the climbs more technically challenging, and you start getting gear and you start getting good. And after 4, 5, 6 years, maybe a decade, you wind up at the base of Mount Everest with all your gear and all your team and your Sherpas and all the rest of it and your oxygen tanks, and you're set to climb Everest. And how do you feel? You feel confident because you started with that little hill in your neighborhood. And here you are, after climbing all these different mountains, here you are facing Everest, and you're going to master it. You're going to be equal to the task, and you feel confident that you will be equal to the task because of all the experience behind you. You do a task, you learn it, and as you learn it, you become more and more confident, right? So that's the confidence in tasks. Con men are great at projecting this great confident vibe, the general one, but of course they can't do a specific task. They're just bullshitting, right? They can't solve problems. And so a lot of times what happens is that people confuse the one kind of self-confidence with the other. Somebody walks in and they're very confident and they sound like they know what they're talking about, and people say, okay, sure, you're going to be our CEO, you're going to fix this company. Yeah, of course, they did around for a couple of years and solved absolutely nothing because they were just confident in their body language and their expression and the way they approached the world, but they actually didn't have the ability. James Damore, he's a computer programmer, he's a Googler, he's all that stuff, and I'm sure that he's great at that, but he doesn't have that vibe. The opposite of the con man, right? True confidence and what you want to aim for is a combination. Having the strong vibe, right, like the con man, and yet at the same time have the strong ability in the specific task, like James Damore. Now, how do you get these two different kinds of confidence? Well, the confidence of knowing a particular task, have a particular ability, like know how to fly an airplane or know how to fix a car or what have you, know how to ride a bicycle. That comes from practice and working at it, right? But insofar as the vibe that you want to project, now that's subtler. That requires that you improve yourself. This is what I would recommend. You see, get into physical shape. There are some people on the red pill on Reddit and others say that you have to lift weights, Lifting, getting into physical shape is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. See, if you're lifting weights 2, 3, 4 times a week, great, but your job is not to become a fucking bodybuilder. Your job is to build confidence in your body. That's why you're doing it. That's why you're running, perhaps instead of lifting weights. That's why perhaps you're playing squash 3, 4, 5 times a week instead of lifting weights. See, it doesn't really matter what physical activity you're doing. You are getting comfortable in your body by doing some strenuous physical activity. That's the first thing. 2, you have to feel confident in talking to other people. Okay, you have to practice it. Just like when you want to climb Mount Everest, you have to practice on small hills and smaller mountains and what have you. The same with talking to people. You have to practice with people. You have to practice, you have to meet people. After I got kicked out of college the second time, when I was 19, I wound up teaching English as a second language. And as I taught English as a second language, I had a class full of adults listening to me. Adults, I mean 30-something, 40-something, 50-something, 60-somethings in some cases, right? They were all learning. They were all business people. They were all very, very serious. And here I was, a 19, 20-year-old kid teaching them English, right? And so I was sort of like thrown into the pool. I had to develop a certain level of confidence in my own skin, confidence in the decisions that I made, be able to address people and talk to them and correct them. When they said something wrong, I had to correct them and say, no, that's not how you say this, you say it like that, right? No, that's not how you spell this word, you spell it like that, and so on. And that teaching English as a second language was a great experience insofar as dealing with people, of learning how to handle people, how to address people in a way that inspired confidence, in a way that they thought, he knows what he's talking about. Because I didn't know what I was talking about. See, that was the beauty of it. You see, English is my first language. And so when I would tell people that you don't say it this way, you say it that way, I knew what I was talking about because it was the language I'd grown up with. The confidence just grew inside of me and it projected itself out to the people I was talking to. So I never was like Mr. Damore. I'm picking on James Damore. I don't mean to. He is obviously a young man who's not had a lot of experience addressing other people, and that's why he sounds so tentative. And I don't mean to knock him in any sense of the word. But he's an example of why it is bad to not develop that vibe of confidence that you project out into the world. Because you need it. Because people don't take you as seriously. Sometimes they dismiss you. And this can hurt you. It prevents you from climbing as far as you could. So you have to develop the ability to speak to multiple people and also one-on-one. Now, again, how do you do this? Practice. Practice, brother. You have to practice it with everybody that you meet. There are classes, the Carnegie, the public speaking stuff like that. Sure, do that, that's fine. But you could do it in trivial things. You're waiting for the bus, for instance. I mean, there's a nice old lady, and you start chatting her up. Start talking about something that she's interested in. Do it as an exercise with everybody that you meet. Get out of your shell. Don't close yourself off into the world. Go out into the world. Interact with other people. Practice is what will give you the confidence to interact with people so that eventually when it is important, you will be able to address people and tell them something important, something that matters, something that you know about, and you will convince them. And you will lead them in the direction that you want them to go. Because that's the whole point of confidence. Confidence is a quality of a leader, and you want to be a leader. You want to be guiding the ship. Why do you want to be guiding the ship? Because it's so much fun? No. Leadership is mostly difficult, mostly pain and misery. But at the end of the day, you will feel so much happier if you are the one directing things. Because if things go south, it'll be because of you, not because of somebody else. You will not be beholden to some other person's bad decision. It will be your bad decision. And trust me, It's infinitely better to crash on the shoals because of your bad decisions than because of the bad decisions of somebody else. I've experienced that, and it's not a happy thing, okay? And number two, if you make the right decisions, if you succeed, it will taste so much sweeter because it will be your decisions. And that's why you need confidence, and you need to build it. You need to build it just like the climber who is building his ability to climb up Everest. You know, step by step, think about it. Physical exercise, interacting with people, take public speaking courses, interact with people, random people that you meet on the street, and try to get into their heads, find out what's interesting to them. You know, all of the things. There are lots of people who have written much better than I can tell you in this short video, but my point, make the conscious effort to improve the confidence that you project out into the world, because it will improve your life in every measure. And best of all, you'll get the hot women.